ready for today?
Yes.
Yes.
Are we ready for today?
Yes.
That sounds much better.
Bring it on.
Yay, team. So our actual formal theme for the month is prosperity, abundance, and wealth. And this is one of those areas that I notice a lot of us, and I don't mean just us in religious science, I mean us as humans. We have a lot of baggage and misunderstanding related stuff about this whole idea. So one of the things I would like to start with, however, though, is a little quiz. How many of you were here when I spoke here last, early part of the month? Okay. So does anyone remember I specifically said that there was something that I loved? Not donuts, but there was something that I really, really, really loved. Anyone remember what it was? Starts with an L, L-A, L-A-N.
Language.
Language. Yay, team. Yay, I'm going to start handing out little notebook sheets. So. Yes, language. And I love language because, once again, that language gives us the opportunity. I mean, it's how we communicate with ourselves, because some of us talk to ourselves pretty often. And it's the manner in which we communicate with, one another. And it's very interesting how quickly we can spiral into a misunderstanding simply from a tiny little word.
Text message.
Right, because there's no tone or anything in a text message. So this whole idea of abundance and prosperity and wealth, there are so many people who say, well, abundance is referring to like everything, and prosperity is your health, and wealth is only money. No, because I can be wealthy in my spirit, but that's not really wealth. That's like there are so many. Trust and believe. We have so many. But one of the great things I love about this particular philosophy, this path, is that SOM, the abbreviation. What does the S stand for?
Science.
Science. Science involves a laboratory. It involves a place where you take little things and you pour them in and you stir it up and you see what you're creating. It's a laboratory. It is a place to experiment. I don't care if Sue says that wealth is this and for me it's that. It's tomato. Doesn't matter, because there are people we argue about, well, I don't like saying God and I don't like the name God. And I understand that God's Spirit, it is all, call a rose by any other name, it would smell as sweet. So I understand. The important thing for us is to understand, where do we individually resonate with this idea. That is the important thing. Now, moving on. So, if I were to ask you, how is your circulatory system? No, I am not talking about your, although I could, because ideally, your spiritual circulatory system, your emotional circulatory system, should somehow be referenced, reflected in, demonstrated in, and by your physical circulatory system. But what we are specifically talking about is your spiritual circulatory system. And we have this great thing called the law of circulation. Now, this next thing, what we sow is what we reap. Dun, 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 dun. Has had so many opportunities to be misinterpreted, misunderstood, misused, and abused, right? The important thing to understand is, and actually let's go to the next slide. The important thing to understand is that what we're referring to when we refer to seeds, thoughts. So you reap what you sow. Make sure you sow, you plant, you think good thoughts. Now, when we talk about good, we are not referring to good as a judgment, because very quickly and very easily we are quick to say, well, this person is good, this person is bad, this restaurant is good, this restaurant is bad, this is, very quickly, this candidate is good, this candidate is bad, blah, 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 blah. I'm not talking about judgments. And that's where we fall into the spiral of, because we are so quick to judge. Simply stepping back and saying, make sure you think God thoughts. There's only one power because I referenced this before, what our brothers and sisters in unity refer to as their first principle. There is only God. There is only one power, one presence, God the good, omnipotent. That which God is good. Emma Curtis Hopkins said, my good is my God. She used it interchangeably. Make sure you think God thoughts. If we are thinking, if we are elevating our thinking to this idea of we are not simply human beings, it is not simply Ray having thoughts, but there is a divine essence, there is a divine being. Call it what you will, the I am, Christ consciousness, God, source, the force. And it is right here, moving in, through, and as me. Several weeks ago, I referenced an Ernest Holmes quote from The Healing Anatomy of Prayer. God in me, as me, is me. So there is also no external will of God. So when we say, oh, you know that job? If it's God's will, if it's God's will. And oftentimes we say it as if there's an anthropomorphic God outside of us that is saying, let us see. I will have Doug get this position. And John, there is no external God. There is only that which is showing up in, through, and as us. So whatever we say is our will, we have determined that that is God's will. Now, ultimately, God, as the is and allness, is always willing itself towards that which is life-affirming. Always that which is life-affirming, that which is expansive, that which is love, that which is... But because it is showing up in, through, and as us, our thoughts can counter, move against that which is life-affirming. Because we have people such as Hitler, who used the same principles that Mother Teresa used. He put thought into action. He thought a thing that was not and made it so. Not life-affirming. But the soil does not say, we're not doing corn this season. I don't like carrots. The soil says what you plant. Assuming that the soil is good, every farmer, every gardener knows, assuming that the soil is good and the seed is good, what I plant must grow. That which is the soil of, the teaching symbol, there is this middle section, there's the upper section, and there's the middle section, and then there's the lower section. When we plant the seed, we plant the thought into the soil, into the one mind, into the law. That which is the law is good soil. And if I plant good thoughts, meaning strong, I truly believe that I am worthless. And I plant that thought, and I'm committed to it. I'm convicted that I do not deserve to be loved. I do not deserve to have a good life. I do not deserve, I'm convicted of this. That thought now becomes form. Because the universal presence, there is no external God saying, no, but Queenie, stop, but I want you to have good stuff. The universal presence says, yes. The law says yes. So I can plant roses, poison ivy, arsenic, death, destruction, and war. I can plant any of that. And it will show up in my life. It'll show up in my friendships, my relationships, my family, my world. So it is our task to say, do I want good things in life? And I would venture to say, if I asked anybody in this room, do you want good things in life? And once again, we're not talking about the judgment of. So when I say good things, I don't mean, because not everybody wants a Cadillac. Not everybody wants a Lamborghini. Not everybody wants the Batmobile. Like, not everybody wants these things. Not everybody wants Oprah's 10 houses. Some people are okay with a 1 room. I'm good. I'm cool. It's enough. But we are the ones that call it good. Right? So whatever that is, do you know what it is that you want? And I specifically have a couple of questions, and I just want you to think about them as I read these. Just let them wash over you. Who wants something good in life? What are some of the things that you want? What are some of the goodnesses that you want for your family? What are some of the goodnesses that you want for your friends? What are some of the goodnesses that you want for your spiritual center and spiritual community, your city, your country, the planet? Do you know? Do you care? Because see, the idea is, if you know that you have this desire, that there is this spiritual thing that is calling you forth, in the same way that you plant a seed and there is a spiritual thing that says, crack open, grow. There is something that calls it forth into its magnificence, that tells the rosebud to open, that tells the bee to go and spread nectar. There is something that just says, be, do what you are here. Just live, and live abundantly. Keep in mind that Yeshua said, I came that you may have life, and that you may have life abundantly. But he wasn't simply referring to himself. He was stating a declaration that any of us can also say. I came that I may have life and live life abundantly. Knowing that if I have and am living life abundantly, then everyone who crosses my path must also do so. In the same way that there is no farmer that plants 77 acres of corn so he can eat or she can eat all of the corn. Because at some point, corn on the cob, corn off the... It's like, what's his name in Forrest Gump? Shrimp, fried shrimp, and them... How many ways are you... I got you. What kind of soap is this? It's made out of corn. I gathered that. Made out of corn. Okay, thank you, George Washington Carver of corn. No one is going to, make all of this corn simply for themselves. They are growing it so that they may feed others, provide for others. Recently, my daughter-in-law, she was instructing one of the children. You had a great day today, didn't you? You got to go to the park. We went to the Dino Park, and you had fun. It was a beautiful day. Pop Ray paid for us to go in, and you had a great day. You received. Now it is your turn to give back. Help me empty the dishwasher. Put the dishes away. We receive. But are we willing to, law of circulation, as you receive, so must you give. Because see, we think, as you give, so shall you receive. Works the same way as you receive. You received a smile today, are you willing to give one? You received joy today, are you willing to give joy? You have love and love overflowing, love pressed down, overflowing and spilling over into your lap. Are you willing to give that love to the world? Or is it easier to sit on your property, on your farm, and say, no, this corn is my corn. No, these carrots are mine. Make your own, grow your own. But you have an infinite, I don't care how much I have, it is not yours, it is mine. I, me, and mine. Because we get very stingy with. But how would you feel if one day your right hand said, you know what? I'm so tired of this whole circulation thing, sharing blood with the rest of the arm. I'm not sharing it anymore. And it got stingy and decided some way to cut off its circulation. What happens? Sooner or later, it withers. Sooner or later, it dies. How are we demonstrating a circulatory system of spirit in our lives? How are we demonstrating not simply that we understand it? Because once again, there's one thing to understand a principle. It's an altogether different thing to practice it. Julia Child, or name another chef.
James Beard.
Who?
James Beard.
James Beard. Any number of chefs you go to Barnes & Noble and there are books and books and books and books and books about how to cook this and how to cook that and how to cook a 10-calorie vegan meal on 77 cents. Like, there are tons of recipe books. Tons of them. And I know people who have entire bookcases filled with Italian on a budget, Italian with a Spanish flair, Japanese Thai, Japanese Spanish. What is it? Do you really have cooking for your pets? It's a gourmet, okay. Like hundreds of these books. And they cook none of it. They tear open the ramen noodles. They put the can under the... What you eating? Pork and beans? But you have 577 books on how to cook. Yeah, but I don't want to mess up. Oh, so you don't want to experiment with the recipe, knowing that sometimes you have to make whatever that omelet is, whatever that souffle is, whatever is, you might have to make it 7, 8, 9, 10 times before you get it just right where Gordon Ramsay wouldn't throw it across the room. It might take that. But because we don't want to mess up, we don't engage life. We don't play to the fullest. We don't carpe diem. We don't. But once again, what if your heart said, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid that if I beat this way to this rhythm, that I'll be doing it wrong, so I'm not going to beat that way. I'm going to just something's not going to feel right. So the body is an excellent demonstration when it is working in perfect alignment and perfect harmony, as above, so below. I do my best to find examples of where can I find these etheric principles that we talk about. Where can I find it in this tangible place? Where can I find this level of right here, right now? Because if I can't find it here, then something's not quite clicking. Because as above, so below. As within, so without. So everything that God is as the macrocosm, I should be able to find a demonstration of it in the microcosm. So my body, your body, the body of this center, the body that we call Baltimore, the body that we call United States of America, the body that we call this tiny blue marble called Earth. Where do we see circulation not working? And once again, I'm not talking about financial circulation. I'm talking about spiritual circulation. Where do we see people being stingy with love? Stingy with generosity? Stingy with kindness? A couple of weeks ago, I once again mentioned Fred Rogers. And Fred Rogers says, and once again, if you haven't seen this recent documentary, I strongly encourage you to. Even if you aren't a Fred Rogers fan, it's like, Mr. Rogers, I'm 47 years old. I don't trust and believe. Trust and believe. It'll benefit you. But he said, make kindness attractive again. Are we willing to step into the circulation of life, knowing that there is no one-sidedness? There is no one who can breathe or engage the process of breathing simply on an inhale. It's not going to last very long. Nor an exhale. You might want to hold your breath on that. Right? There is no, it takes both. And the funny thing is, when I breathe in, what am I breathing in? Not air, but what am I, scientifically, what am I breathing in? Oxygen. Breathing in oxygen. What gives oxygen off? Plants. So as they give, I receive. And as I give, they receive. Once again, the eternal givingness of life to all. The demonstration of God giving of itself to itself. It set up the system in ways that it demonstrates that I, that which I am, as the all that is, showing up in, through, and as the multitudes of the countless number of everything. I set it up in a way that I am always supported, cared for, loved, demonstrating life. And once again, we are the ones who opt to say, but I'm afraid to dance. I'm afraid to get involved in this thing called circulation. I'm afraid. What if I give a hug and it's not reciprocated? What if I say to someone, I love you, and it's not reciprocated? That's where remember I said at the beginning that we have this thing about this, the way this, what you sow, so shall you reap thing. Because we'll use that as the example. Well, I gave before, and I didn't get back. I said I love you, and they did one of these. Girl, bye. So I'm not doing it again. The important thing to understand is there's this great book that I read a long time ago, The Man Who Planted Trees. And there's another story of similar nature where the person planted and they went about their business. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember the exact story, but Johnny Appleseed is a similar story. Planted and left. I don't have to be here to watch the apple tree grow and eat the apples and make the cider and the applesauce. I am planting this knowing that someone, somewhere will be cared for by this. So I don't care if, yes, it hurts. I know it hurts. I haven't spoken to one of my sons in a year. It hurts. Because the human part of me is like, oh, wow. But the divine part of me knows that love cannot be bound, contained, enslaved, ensnared, destroyed, or dissolved. Because God is love. And so what I know is that every time I hug one of you, I'm putting love into the atmosphere. And what I know is that somebody is hugging him somewhere. So he may not get it directly from me, but he's getting it. Because right now, we assume that there is space between us. But there isn't. Because there are molecules between this finger and Ronnie's shoulder. And if I was able to tap a molecule and send a vibration, which I can, I'm not going to do it right now, but send a vibration, she would feel it. How many of us have entered a room or sat on a bus and felt someone staring at you and turned around and saw them, creeper, and saw them staring at you? Because it's energy. It's not about the actual tangible words or contact. It's about the energy of. It's not about the dollars and cents that you tithe. It's not about any of that. It's about the energy that it is. Giving of the energy. That's why there's the story in the Bible of the woman who gave the 1 cent, and that 1 cent was worth more than thee. Because the energy that she gave is, I am giving my all. Not my all in terms of this is my only cent. But I am giving all that I am, heart, body, mind, and soul. Do what must be done. And that's why it mattered more. That's why whenever we cook for another and we cook from our heart and soul, they are nourished, not just physically, but they are nourished emotionally. They are nourished intellectually. Because it's about the exchange, the circulation of energy. Are we willing to upgrade and understand in this grand experimental thing called life that I am a scientist? I am a physicist, a metaphysicist. I understand that my thoughts change, transform the very fabric of substance. That when I think a thing into the law responds and says yes. So when I say, I'm good, I am good. I am whole, I am perfect, I am complete. I am wealthy, I am prosperous. I am a demonstration of abundance. And you are clear on what that means. That I am not simply cutting coupons because I got to pinch pennies. I got to rob from Peter to pay Stephen, and rob from Stephen to pay Paul. Before the IRS come, I gotta pinch, and I gotta steal, and I gotta borrow, and I gotta. But we are very clear on, as a spiritual being, I have more than I will ever be able to quantify. Ever be able to quantify. Ever be able to quantify. In the same way that you will never, if I was to say I will give you the recent $1 billion from the Powerball, because I won, no, the recent $1 billion Powerball dollars, if you will pick any beach in Hawaii, go there and count the grains of sand. How long would that take? We can't even fathom how long that would take. We would say it would take a lifetime. It would take 10 lifetimes. It may take more than that. Because we don't know the depth to which, we are talking surface. There's also the depth of spirit. How deep are we willing to plumb within the spiritual depths of who and what we are, knowing and stepping forward with boldness and audacity to say, yes. If Spirit says yes, then I'm willing to step forward and say yes with it. Because trust and believe, the moment we're willing to do that, things must change. There's this, and this is my last thing, there's this gentleman who is also a scientist. You may be familiar with him. Hold on one second, because I want to quote him correctly. Talk amongst yourselves. Guess what? We may not be saying it because I haven't seen it. So best case scenario is when you can't find that, you jump to the color purple. Don't laugh because I'm serious. So I'm serious, because there's a scene at the end of The Color Purple, it's also in the book where, and I'm going to read it. Alice Walker says, I think it pisses God off if you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it. People think pleasing God is all God cares about. But any fool living in the world can see it always is trying to please us back. When we appreciate, what we appreciate appreciates. When we give love, love grows. When we give joy, joy grows. The more we are able to spot beauty in the world, the more beauty in the world there is to spot. The more generous we become, the more generosity we have. Let's pray. Allowing ourselves to breathe, to inhale, and to exhale. To feel the rise of the body on the inhalation, and on the exhalation, the body relaxes. Knowing that in this process of breath, of respiration, that which God is, that which Spirit is breathing itself as us. And in this surrendering breath, I speak what I know. I know that love is all there is. Infinite love, infinite joy, infinite magnificence that I call God. And that this infinite power and infinite presence is showing up in particularized form, individualized form, incarnated in, through, and as me. And what is true for me is true for everyone in this room. As above, so below. That which God is manifest right here, right now, as the individuals in these chairs, in this building, in this city, this country, this planet, and beyond. Because God is all there is. And knowing that this infinite power is all there is, I am able to tap in, plug in, make use of, and access this power that the universe is. And because I am able to access this, make use of it, because it is using itself as me, I know that I must therefore be a being demonstrating prosperity, abundance, and wealth in body, mind, heart, and spirit. Because what I know is that this is what God demonstrates as that which is life-affirming. And once again, what is true for me must be true for all, because there is no part of God where God says, yeah, but not there. God says yes to itself in every form that it shows up in, through, and as. So right here, right now, that which is the abundance of God is available in, through, and as all. The wealth of God in, through, and as all. The prosperity, the health, the magnificence, the beauty, the joy, the love, the creativity, the liquid flow of, the connectivity of, the circulation of infinite spirit right here in, through, and as all. So in gratitude, what I know is that by hearing these words, I am changed. I trust and believe that all who hear them are also changed, transformed, right here, right now, moving forward, knowing what is to be done. Knowing what is to be done to live, move, and have the beingness of the divine spirit that we call source, love, joy, and God. That right here, right now, any former baggage, thought, paradigms of lack, limitation, scarcity, pain, fear, shadows, or darkness fade away into the nothingness from whence they came. That which is the discord, the disharmony, and the dis-ease is faded away. Only health, only wealth, only joy, only the passion and the zeal and the excitement, the exuberance, and the life of the divine presence is right here, right now. In, through, and as myself, in, through, and as each and every person here, in, through, and as every person that every person here is connected to. Our eyes, our hands, our lives are a gift. I demonstrate this gratitude right here, right now, by placing this word back into the law from whence it came, knowing this law says yes. And knowing it says yes, I know it is done. And knowing it is done, I call on all who are willing to affirm with me by saying, and so it is.